What's up, beautiful people? This is Rob Lawrence here from VRA Realty Alliance LLC, based out of Westchester, Pennsylvania, and today I'm going to tell you about how much money you need to buy a house in Pennsylvania. All right, let's just dive right into it. It's not a simple question, but I'm going to run through some of the best and worst case scenarios for you to help you understand how much you need for a down payment and closing costs so that you can purchase a beautiful home here in the lovely state of Pennsylvania. All right, so the first thing to think about is what kind of loan you're going to use. So right now, the situation is super competitive. So most people want to go conventional. They want a conventional loan. If you can get a conventional loan, there's a special program where you can do a 3% down conventional loan. Closing costs are usually going to be about another 4% of your purchase price. So if you're at 3 plus 4, usually you're going to need a minimum of 7% down for a conventional loan. FHA is 3.5%. That can sometimes be used on multifamilies, but a lot of people don't want to accept FHA loans right now. That's important to understand. One other loan type I wanted to mention is a VA loan, and those can be 0% down loans. Obviously, if you've served in the military, you're eligible for those. You have to check with the mortgage broker, and then you can have closing costs on top. Anyway, just wanted to make sure I didn't forget about our veterans. Those can be a little bit difficult to get accepted right now, but they can be accepted because sometimes people do appreciate veterans and want to give their house to a veteran. So anyway, something to keep in mind if you are a veteran. Now, there also are first-time home buyer programs, and my favorite one is called KFIT. I have a video on that on my channel if you'd like to check it out. But what KFIT does is it gives you up to 5% towards buying your home in Pennsylvania. I believe if you make under about $96,000 a year, but it depends on the county, and it also depends on the purchase price of the house. So if you want to know if you qualify for that, you can reach out to me and I'll connect you with one of my mortgage guys that understands the program. So if you get the 5% down, then you're basically going to do a 5% down conventional loan with 5% of it being paid as a forgivable loan by KFIT, and then you're just going to need that 4% down for closing costs. Now, the other option is that you're putting more down. Now, one of the reasons that having extra cash is good in this market is guaranteeing appraisal, because a lot of things are missing on appraisal right now because basically the market's accelerating up and the appraisers can't find the comps to justify the higher prices for these houses. So I just made an offer the other day and we guaranteed appraisal by $40,000. I actually didn't even win that offer. We came in 3rd out of 10. We just did another house the other day. It was 38 offers in Malvern. So it's a crazy market out there for sure. All right, so let's talk about numbers here on just like, let's say, a typical situation. So that's going to be a 5% conventional loan, which pretty much would apply to everybody, and then a 4% closing costs. So that's 9% of the total cost of the house that you would have to have in cash. Under normal market conditions, you could sometimes get a seller's assist, which would be like 3% of that. If you're putting 10% down, you could get 6% back. But let's just talk about what reality is like right now in Pennsylvania. Reality is it's very difficult to get a seller's assist. I think on the 42 deals I did last year, I only got seller's assist on one of those deals. So that's really challenging to get a seller's assist. What a seller's assist is basically like you buy the house for 100 grand, but you say, hey, seller, I'm gonna buy it for 110, give me $10,000 back as cash to help me close. And that's called a seller's assist, and the seller still nets 100. The problem and the reason why a lot of people aren't accepting seller's assists right now is because that creates more appraisal risk, and there's already a bunch of appraisal risk that they don't want to get. When you talk about 9%, what is 9%? Basically, let's do 100,000, that's 9,000, 200,000, 18,000, 300,000, $27,000 to close. And that's about right, from what I'm seeing. So that's important to know that you need that much cash to close. Obviously, the other part is qualifying for the mortgage itself, and your debt to income ratio is what's going to determine that. And your debts can't really be more than half of your income, and that includes your mortgage payment. So anyway, don't want to get into all that. So I also have a video on how much closing costs are. You can check that out on my channel. It just says what are closing costs in Pennsylvania, and you can kind of go through the closing costs I had when I bought my house and what's paid and why it's paid. You get title insurance and the transfer tax, which is a tax that Pennsylvania charges you when you buy and sell a house. Both sides usually pay about 1% in most areas of Pennsylvania. Anyway, there's a bunch of things that really just start adding up, and that's why you get to that 4%. So anyway, I hope that's really helpful in helping you understand how much cash you need to close. The one thing to understand is that if you have more cash, that is going to give you more power in this market, again, because you can then guarantee appraisal. It also shows more financial strength when you're writing an offer. So if you can go 10% down, 20% down, or 30% down, that's really nice. Another little thing to keep in mind is cash on hand. You're usually going to need a deposit check within 5 days of going under contract of a house, and that tends to be around 2% of the value of the house. That deposit check is going to get applied towards your cash to close when you do close, but anyway, it's good to know that you're going to need to have that cash on hand pretty quickly. The cash to close that you're going to need when you buy the house is actually going to happen on closing day, and that's usually 30 to 40 days after you go under contract. When you buy a house in Pennsylvania, you fill out a buyer's financial information form. A lot of times the sellers want to see this, and that shows the seller that you actually have this cash to close. Another important point is that when you get pre-approved for a mortgage, they will show you how much cash you need to close. So that's another really important reason to reach out to a mortgage broker and engage with one. Again, like I have a bunch of them that I work with that I really like and that are really good, and they can help walk you through and explain what everything is. Basically, they give you an estimate of closing cost sheet, and that's going to give you your cash to close as well as your monthly payment. So getting pre-approved is a really big first step in this process to know exactly how much cash you need to close on an example property that you're considering. It is going to depend on where the taxes are. Like Delaware County, for example, has much higher taxes than some areas in Chester County. Coatesville is higher than Westchester, etc. But you know, knowing where you're going to be kind of can help with that. So getting that sheet from a mortgage broker is really helpful in understanding that. And some people say, well, I'm kind of early in the process. I don't know if I want to pull my credit. I think it's worth it. If you have over, I think, a 720 credit score, it's really not going to affect your mortgage. And usually it may drop it like 3 points to 5 points when you do a hard credit pull. So anyway, totally worth doing if you want to know exactly how much cash you need to close. All right. Well, I hope that's helpful in understanding everything you need to know about cash to close in Pennsylvania. If this video was really confusing and you want to talk to me, that's totally fine. Shoot me a message. You can text me, call me, or email me, and I'm happy to get back to you. And I'm happy to help you if you're in southeastern Pennsylvania. So reach out to me and my team. We're a top performing real estate team in the Westchester area. All right. Have a great day, everybody.